Welcome back to the Political Bridge. I'm Ada. Today we're diving into a critical legal debate. It affects many people. We're talking about due process rights for green card holders. This is especially true when they try to re-enter the U.S. after traveling abroad. The Supreme Court has recently weighed in on this issue. Their decisions shape how our government treats permanent residents. These are people who have lived here for years. They have built lives and families in America. The court's rulings determine what rights they have at the border. They decide what legal protections apply to them. This is a complex area of law. It touches on national security and individual liberties. We'll explore how these rulings impact real people. We'll also discuss the broader meaning for immigration policy. Nico and Jordan are here to help us understand. They will break down these important arguments.
Thanks, Ada. The Supreme Court's stance on this is clear. National security must come first. The government has a right to control its borders. This includes who enters the country. Even green card holders are not exempt from scrutiny. They are not U.S. citizens. They hold a special status. But this status can be revoked. The government must be able to deny entry to those who pose a risk. This is vital for our safety. The court has often sided with the executive branch on this. They recognize the need for swift action. This is especially true at ports of entry. Granting full due process rights at the border would slow things down. It would create loopholes. It could make us less safe. We must trust our border agents. They make quick decisions. These decisions protect all Americans. The court upholds this principle. It ensures our national security remains strong. This is a practical approach. It keeps our country secure.
Nico, I respectfully disagree. The Supreme Court's decisions here are troubling. They chip away at fundamental rights. Green card holders are not just visitors, they are permanent residents. They have a deep connection to this country. They deserve full due process protections. This means a fair hearing. It means a chance to present their case. Denying them this right is unfair. It goes against our values. Imagine a nurse who travels to visit family. She returns and is suddenly denied entry. She has no real chance to defend herself. This can tear families apart. It creates huge uncertainty. The government's power at the border should not be absolute. There must be checks and balances. We can protect our borders and uphold rights. These two goals are not mutually exclusive. We need a system that is fair. It must respect the lives of people who call America home. This is about basic human dignity.
You both raise important points. Nico, you emphasize national security and the government's authority. Jordan, you focus on individual rights and fairness for permanent residents. Let's dig a bit deeper. What specific legal precedents or past court cases support your arguments? Nico, can you point to a key ruling that backs the government's broad power at the border? Jordan, what legal principles do you see being eroded by these decisions? How do these past rulings shape the current debate?
Absolutely, Ada. The Supreme Court has a long history of supporting the government's power. A key case is Shaughnessy v. United States ex rel Mazzei from 1953. This case is often called the Island Case. A permanent resident was denied re-entry. He was held on Ellis Island for years. The court upheld the government's right to exclude him. They said his entry was not complete. This means he was still at the border. He was not fully in the country. This ruling sets a strong precedent. It says that the government has broad power. This power applies to those seeking to enter. Even green card holders are in a special legal category. They are not citizens. They have fewer rights at the border. This is a clear legal distinction. It allows the government to act quickly. It keeps our borders secure. This is a practical and necessary power.
Nico, the Mazzei case is a relic. It's from a different era. It doesn't reflect modern constitutional understanding. It's a stain on our legal history. Many legal scholars criticize it. They say it allowed for indefinite detention. This was without proper review. We've moved beyond that. More recent cases, like Landon v. Placencia in 1982, offer a better path. That case recognized that permanent residents have stronger rights. They have a legitimate expectation of returning home. The court said they deserve a hearing. They should be able to present their case. While not full citizen rights, it's a step. It acknowledges their deep ties. Denying them any meaningful process is wrong. It goes against the spirit of due process. This is a core American value. We can't just ignore it for convenience. We must protect people who have built lives here.
Nico, you rely heavily on the idea that green card holders are not citizens, therefore they have fewer rights at the border. But many have lived here for decades. They pay taxes and contribute to our society. Is it truly fair to treat them as if they have no connection to the U.S. when they try to return? Jordan, you argue for strong due process rights. However, what about the practical challenges? How can the government quickly assess security risks at busy ports of entry if every green card holder gets a full hearing? This could create long delays and potential security gaps.
Ada, that's a fair question. It's not about denying their contributions. It's about legal status. A green card is a privilege, not an absolute right to re-entry. The distinction between citizen and non-citizen is fundamental. It's a cornerstone of immigration law. If we give full due process at the border, it creates a huge burden. Imagine the lines at airports and land crossings. Our agents would be overwhelmed. They couldn't do their job effectively. This would make our country less secure. We have to prioritize our national safety. There are already review processes in place. These happen after a denial. It's not a complete lack of due process. It's just not at the initial entry point. We must maintain the government's ability to protect its borders. This is a practical necessity for our security.
Ada, I understand the concern about delays, but we can't sacrifice fundamental rights for speed. There are ways to streamline processes. We can invest in more resources. We can use technology better. Many other countries manage to do this. They balance security with fair treatment. The idea that a green card is just a privilege is misleading. It's a promise of permanent residence. People make life decisions based on that promise. They buy homes, they raise children, they build careers. To suddenly deny them entry without a real explanation or a chance to appeal is cruel. It's not just about inconvenience. It's about tearing families apart. It's about destroying lives. We must find a way to uphold both security and justice. We can't let fear dictate our values. A fair hearing is a basic right.
This stress test reveals the core tension. Nico, you prioritize the government's need for efficiency and security at the border. You see a clear legal line between citizens and non-citizens. Jordan, you emphasize the human cost and the erosion of fundamental fairness. You argue that green card holders deserve more robust protections. Both sides are grappling with how to balance these crucial, often competing demands. The challenge is finding a path that respects both national interests and individual liberties.
Ultimately, we must remember the government's primary role. It's to protect its citizens. This includes controlling who enters our country. The Supreme Court has consistently affirmed this power. The Mazzei case, while old, still holds weight. It highlights the unique legal status of the border. It's not the same as being inside the country. We can't treat it as such. We need strong, clear rules. These rules allow our border agents to act decisively. Any delays or added burdens put us at risk. We must support policies that prioritize national security. This means upholding the government's authority. It means recognizing the difference between citizens and non-citizens. It's about keeping our nation safe. This is the most practical and responsible approach. It serves the best interests of all Americans.
Nico, I believe our nation's strength comes from its values. It comes from fairness and due process. We can't just dismiss the rights of permanent residents. They are part of our community. They contribute to our economy. They serve in our military. To treat them as second-class people at the border is wrong. We must evolve beyond outdated legal precedents. We need a system that respects human dignity. It must also ensure security. These are not opposing ideas. We can invest in better systems. We can ensure fair hearings. This will make our country stronger, not weaker. It will show that we uphold our principles. This is about who we are as a nation. We must protect the rights of all who call America home. This is the moral and just path forward.
Jordan, while I appreciate the sentiment of evolving legal understanding, the practical realities of border security are stark. Consider the sheer volume. U.S. Customs and Border Protection processes over 1 million individuals daily across all ports of entry. Implementing a full, individualized due process hearing for every green card holder flagged for potential issues would create an unmanageable bottleneck. It's not about being cruel, it's about operational feasibility and risk management. We're talking about preventing individuals who might have criminal records, ties to hostile foreign entities, or who have violated immigration laws from entering. The current system, which allows for initial exclusion and then provides avenues for appeal once the individual is outside the immediate border zone, is a pragmatic compromise. It balances the need for security with the eventual right to contest a decision. We cannot allow our borders to become porous under the guise of an ideal, yet impractical, level of due process at the point of entry itself.
Nico, the argument about unmanageable bottlenecks often serves as a convenient excuse to sidestep fundamental rights. Many other developed nations, like Canada and the UK, manage to process non-citizens, including permanent residents, with a higher degree of due process at their borders without collapsing into chaos. They utilize advanced data analytics, pre-screening, and dedicated immigration tribunals at ports of entry to handle complex cases efficiently. The issue isn't the impossibility of due process. It's the lack of political will and investment in a more robust, rights-respecting system here in the U.S. Furthermore, the idea of an appeal outside the immediate border zone often means indefinite detention or being sent back to a country where they may have no ties, effectively denying them any meaningful chance to appeal. We're not asking for every single person to get a full court hearing, but for a transparent process, access to legal counsel, and a clear, timely explanation for denial, which is currently often lacking.
And that brings us to the end of another insightful discussion. It's clear that the Supreme Court's stance on due process for green card holders at the border is a complex issue. It has far-reaching implications for national security and individual rights. We appreciate Nico and Jordan for shedding light on these critical arguments. Their perspectives help us understand the nuances of this important debate. You can find more information and resources at tpbridgepod.com. Join us next time for another engaging discussion. Until then, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep bridging those political divides.